think it's time. Let's get this Hustle and Mobilize show on the road, my friends. So, hi, thank you all so much for jumping on. We're going to talk today a lot about virtual organizing, Hustle, some texting, Mobilize, virtual events, and of course, how to pull off a successful text bank. But first, we want to do a round of introductions of who you're going to be meeting today. We're going to first go over what's in the toolkit, like what is Hustle, what is Mobilize. Going to do some overview of some virtual organizing, what we're seeing in the space, how to use both Hustle and Mobilize for a successful text bank. And we're going to hear from our amazing friends at the Sierra Club. And at the end, have some time for Q&A. The Q&A is going to be in the chat. So if any time during the next hour or so that we're together, if you have any questions, just feel free to pop them in the chat and we'll get them at the end. But first, you're probably wondering who we are. And so we're going to do a round of introductions here. I'm Sara Brown. I'm a Senior Partnerships Manager here at Mobilize. Some of you may know my face because I actually used to be at Hustle. I was a Senior Client Success Manager at Hustle for a little while, working with labor union clients, but I have made the move to the wonderful team at Mobilize, again, working with our labor clients here on how to do all things event recruitment and organizing members. Over to my sister, Kafia.
Hi, folks. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm Kafia Ahmed, Senior Client Success Manager here at Mobilize. Also previously at Hustle, colleagues with Sara and Megan there, and worked with Scott. So this is a nice little reunion for all of us, and we're excited to get you all trained up. Scott, do you want to introduce yourself?
Hey, everybody. I'm Scott Kalota. Go by he, him pronouns from Oakland, California, the occupied land of the Ohlone people. I'm an associate director of distributed organizing with our online campaigns team at the Sierra Club. Thank you.
Thanks, Scott. And hi, everybody. My name is Megan Apfelbaum. I'm the Senior Partnerships Director at Hustle. So I work with a lot of our nonprofits and higher in colleges, universities, labor unions, lots of organizations doing a lot of distributed organizing right now. So I am happy to be here and happy to kick this off. All right, so first, we're just going to do a quick overview of the tools that we'll be talking about today. This is like one path on how to put together this virtual organizing. Many of you are both familiar with Hustle specifically and Mobilize as well. But for those of you who are coming in just from the Mobilize side, peer-to-peer texting is a tool that enables you to have hundreds, thousands of personalized one-on-one conversations with your members over text. Hustle is a platform that allows you to upload your list, create these goals, and run analytics on these campaigns. So today we'll be referencing Hustle specifically throughout, but know that Hustle is one of several peer-to-peer texting tools on the market right now. Great. To dig a little bit deeper into what peer-to-peer is, it is text from a real local phone number. For Hustle, we generate a phone number for each text or each agent that we'll be talking like I am sending you a text message, just like me texting Sara. Thanks, Sara. And that way it looks like a normal text and it encourages replies, it encourages conversation, right? So as opposed to broadcast messaging, which certainly have a time and a place as a channel, the idea behind peer-to-peer texting is that it's facilitating long-term conversation as well as eliciting more specific responses from the people you're reaching out to. Go to the next slide. And the last is sort of why, right? Why is this a channel that we kind of push over and over as a really effective way, both broadly in the progressive environment, as well as specifically right now, right? Text messages have an incredible open rate, right? It's fairly intuitive. Think of how many unread text messages you have on your phone right now versus how many unread emails are in your promotions folder. Especially right now, where I think everyone is getting an email from every list they have ever signed up for, wishing that they are well and safe. Text messaging is a really effective way to cut through with actionable information, with clear asks for your organizers, your volunteers, your supporters, right? Because all of these messages are read and they are condensed asks, the reply rate averages about 25%. And to be honest, for lists of highly engaged users, we can see upwards of 40% reply rates. And then even beyond that, we see 8 to 10% action rates, right? And that's defined in Hustle Analytics, at least, as those who say yes to your ask, right? Yes, I will go to your event. Yes, I will donate. Yes, I will volunteer for your text bank. And so with that, I will hand it over to Kafia. Oh, wait, not yet. I'm so sorry. Again, thank you, Scott, for jumping in here today to kind of dig deep on more specific use cases. But peer-to-peer texting is used for all kinds of stuff right now. We're seeing a terrific amount of organizers pivot from their field programs for census outreach to online or to text messaging as a channel to nudge people to continue to fill out their census and encourage their friends and family to do the same. It's also most often used as a GOTV tool, right? I'm sure everyone here has sent or received a message around voter registration or getting out to the polls. And our bread and butter has always been event attendance, right? Getting people to RSVP to your event, whether it is virtual or in person someday. And so I'm happy to kind of explore our partnership with Mobilize and how we can leverage all of these tools to increase participation and also ease of use to get the word out. And with that, I will pass to Kafia.
I think Sara is handling this section.
Yeah, that's okay. We're all friends here. And so I'm going to take this, talk a little bit about what is Mobilize. So for those that may not be as familiar with Mobilize, we're the go-to event management and action management and volunteer recruitment platform for democratic campaigns and progressive organizations. We have seen about 1.7 million people sign up to take action through our platform. We kind of got our start in 2017. People were really active. They wanted to do something. They wanted to show up to events. And so we are really focused on helping you drive more action, doing it more easily to really achieve your mission. And we are very mission aligned. I like to tell people this, we only work with those Democratic candidates and those progressive leading organizations like Sierra Club. So a little bit more context here, how we do this. We're gonna help you recruit your supporters more easily. So Mobilize becomes that central destination for your events and virtual actions. I'm gonna talk a little bit about what we've seen in the shift to virtual first in the last 2 months, but we easily integrate data into your CRM. And you can see folks have a branded feed. You're gonna see a little bit about Sierra Clubs later, their branded Mobilize feed where they recruit people for their text banks. We just make it really easy for your supporters to engage with you. We also make it really easy for your supporters, your members, those people you're trying to engage, do more things. So not only do we want them to show up, not only do we want them to sign up, we want them to show up and keep coming back. And so our platform is optimized through automated nudges, through via email and SMS or text message for people to confirm, tell you they're coming, to remind them, and then ask them at the end or after the event how the event was. And so our platform is optimized for people to show up. We find that our flake rate is about 30% lower than other platforms, which is a really great thing. And then lastly, the truly unique feature about Mobilize is you're going to be able to turbocharge, I love that word, turbocharge your efforts with our network. So I mentioned that we have 1.7 million people have taken action via our platform. We see about 40%, I love this stat, 40% of people who sign up for a Mobilize event or our event via Mobilize share through their social networks. And so 40% of those people are signing up and they're sharing on Facebook, they're sharing on Twitter, they're sharing the link in text to their friends, whatever it may be. We're seeing folks recruit their friends, and that's really great for you all, because then you get to meet those friends of those people that you meet that you might not have been able to reach before. And so that is the value of our network. There's a lot more detail here, but I was told I only had a few minutes. When it comes to virtual, when it comes to kind of the journey, again, we really want to make it so folks don't just do one action and we lose them and hard to kind of re-engage them. We're really designed to bring people to the platform, to engage and continue to engage them through the journey and continue to have them donate, bring their friends, to show up, offer feedback, and re-engage to come back to more events. And then lastly, what I think is really important here is that you can build Mobilize into all of your digital channels. And we've seen it across the board. We've seen folks do some really cool things like the Texas Democrats and NARAL pro-choice, build their Mobilize seed into their websites and drive signups through people going to their websites. We've seen a lot of social media, a lot of Facebook. I love Facebook. And so we've seen a lot of people post their Mobilize events on Facebook to recruit people that way. We also see a lot of email, again, sending out emails to people for events or actions near them. Right now, we're seeing a lot of emails asking people to engage virtually. And then lastly, what you're all here to hear more about is how folks are using texting. So folks are sending out texts that says, hey, we're having this event, we're doing this thing, are you able to make it? And they say, yes, great, sign up here. Or, hey, we're doing a texting shift, can you make it? Those kinds of things of recruiting people through texting. Now, we have seen a significant shift. So a lot of our partners in the past really were focused on bringing people in person. Unfortunately, that is not the case right now. And when you go on our website, we know that there are some key in-person things that, due to COVID-19 relief work, have to be done or has to be done, but we're really encouraging folks to make the shift right now to virtual events for things that, to really cut down on that in-person contact for things that you can do online. And so what we've seen over the last 2 months as our volume has really increased. And so despite all of the chaos and the uncertainty and all of the things happening with COVID-19 right now, we are seeing folks shift to doing virtual. We saw a little over 350,000 signups in March and April for virtual events and virtual actions just on our platform alone. Just in April, we saw a little over 254,000 signups for virtual events. And so there is an appetite we're seeing for people to get involved. I'm sure Scott can talk about this when he talks about Sierra Club and recruiting texters for virtual text banks. And then just in the last 24 hours, we've had almost 18,000 signups here for virtual actions across the Mobilize platform. And so the appetite is there. People are hungry. They're around. They want to help. I hear that the most, right? That it's not so much that they are bored, right? That people really want to help in any way that they can, despite having to social distance or physical distance and be, at home. And we're seeing that play out here in the numbers. We've seen direct COVID-19 relief work, seen virtual phone banks, some really cool, like creative things like couch parties. People would get on a collective Zoom and talk about books, or they'll do a postcard party, or they'll text people to turn in their absentee ballot or their census form, whatever it may be. We're seeing some really cool couch video parties, some e-signature gathering, petitions, that kind of thing is really great. If states have allowed to collect e-signatures for ballot initiatives. We're seeing folks use the platform that way too. A lot of webinars, teletown halls, virtual trainings, Facebook Live events. I know folks love Facebook Live, and you can pre-schedule Facebook Live, put that in a Mobilize, recruit people via Mobilize so you can have the data, right? So you can be able to pull those signups, have that list. It's kind of tough to get contact information out of Facebook. And then lastly, what we're going to spend the rest of the time talking about are virtual text banks. All right. So it is over, I think, to my friend Kafia.
Yeah. Thanks so much, Sarah and Megan. So the piece that I want to cover is really like the ways in which we've seen people structure their building out their Hustle and Mobilize programs together. And Scott will go into a little bit more detail about how Sierra Club has done it. They've done a really great job of molding these two tools together. But I want to give you we're going to go into two specific examples that I've seen that folks have done. One is like a Hustle first with the Mobilize piece, and the other is a Mobilize first with the Hustle piece. But you really, there's a few things I would love for folks to consider before your text bank. You really want to determine what kind of text bank you want to have. We have the options within Mobilize of a shifted versus flexible event. And the difference between that is a shifted event allows you to kind of have specific times that you want to reach out to people. If you want to have a weekly town hall that's going to happen at the same time every week, or versus flexible, which is like you have a training video you want folks to watch, you can have that up and people can watch it whenever it works for them. So there's a couple of different ways to do that. You want to also make sure to prepare as many pre-event materials as possible. Get your Mobilize sign-up page, create your group and your goal in Hustle, upload your list of either recipients or agents, and really just like prepare as much as possible to be able to absorb those sign-ups and folks that way. And then you can recruit people using all of your digital channels. As Sarah pointed out, folks are having a great deal of success engaging with their kind of communities and their supporter bases through digital platforms. You know, people are really hungry to do something right now. So use your own website or your existing social channels to really reach out to folks and get them bought into your events that you're having. And then, of course, if you have the ability, really have your training materials ready to get people off the ground and running. Thanks, Sarah. So the first example I want to use is using your Mobilize virtual event to recruit agents for your text bank. So say that you want to you want to do a peer-to-peer text outreach and you want to recruit more people to come to your event, to come and be agents and allow you and send messages for you. This is actually a thing that Sierra Club has been doing really well. Scott will go into more detail about it, I'm sure. But this is kind of just like a step-by-step guide, right? Like you want to create that shifted event, something like sign up for a texting shift, or just something in that realm that makes it really clear what you want folks to be, what folks are signing up for. We generate a link every time you create an event. We have a link that's generated. So use that link to advertise again across your social channels to get people to sign up. And then that will enable them to be able to like come directly to the event, sign up and become agents. And then you'll want to take that list of folks that have RSVP'd, upload them and have them upload them as agents or texters into whatever peer-to-peer platform you're using. And then you're good to go. Go ahead and send those texts, reach out to those people and do that. So, and then we have a second example. This example is another example. So the New York Census has actually been doing a really cool program called Text Out the Count. So they're reaching out to people to get them really kind of invigorated and jazzed up about filling out their census now. Just a PSA that you can do your census online. So they're really getting a lot of people involved in making sure that our communities are not undercounted. So so the second example I want to go through is using your peer-to-peer text to recruit for your Mobilize virtual events. So you want to kind of a similar idea. You have an event that you want folks to come to, use your create a script and a goal within Hustle or whatever platform you're using. Make sure to not, this is a little piece of knowledge from our Hustle days, make sure you don't add make sure to not add a link to your script, and that'll get you counted as spam. So don't do that. And then you want to add your Mobilize link in the response messages. So folks say that they want to come, go ahead and give them that piece of info, let them know, here's the link. And even if they say no, this is the organizer and me, you can still give them the link because they might change their mind later. Always making that hard ask. And then if you have a source generator or UTM or something that allows you to track where your signups are coming from, go ahead and utilize that so you could know that all these people were recruited from our peer-to-peer texting program. And then go ahead and send those texts. And then later on when you're done, you can always track how many of those signups came from your text outreach, which will help you understand how well your program is doing. And so those are two of the main examples that we have of how folks have been using it. Of course, there is always space and room to innovate. I highly encourage folks to continue to innovate and teach us even new and amazing ways to use these two tools together. And speaking of innovators, I'm going to let Scott and our friends at Sierra Club kind of give us some insight into the program that they've been running.
Yeah, hey everybody. I'm Scott, he, him, and I work at the Sierra Club. And if you can go to my first slide, we use these two tools in combo to really run our national distributed text team. But yeah, Sierra Club is an organization, it's a hiking club. It's been around for 125 years. It's got 3.8 million members and supporters. We work mainly on environmental issues. And we have a nationally based distributed text team. So we've got people all over the country texting all the time, every day. We're at about 1,000 folks and growing. We actually have 126 people signed up for our training that's hosted in Mobilize on Wednesday. You're more than welcome to come to it too, see what we do. And we're sending about 1 million texts per month. And Mobilize has really allowed us to supercharge this. It's made it so much easier to grow and to help us scale up this program. All of our trainings are hosted on Mobilize. All of our shifting is hosted on Mobilize. So we're constantly driving people to this Mobilize feed where they're signing up to textbank. Here on the right, you can see, this is our sign up page. We have shifts up there every day through the election. So if folks want to go there and sign up now, if you want to text with us, please do. And we use these tools in tandem to really manage that flow. But it's also important to note that we do use Slack a lot. All of our materials are also pointing back to a Slack. It's a community space and a way to make this all work together. And Hustle is a tool that we use for texting. And it is worth noting that we do use Salesforce in the background to make this all flow together. And we're hoping to be able to automate our bridges between Mobilize and Hustle soon. Cool. So what makes Mobilize amazing is we used to use a combination of tools from Calendly, all sorts of one-off things to make this distributed text team work. But since we've gone to Mobilize, there's this amazing button in Mobilize called Export Signups. And then in Hustle, there's a really great feature where you can upload multiple people at once via CSV. So we literally just have people sign up for the day that they're texting on. We take and export those signups and we upload them into Hustle. It's really that simple. So if you have an idea, a concept that you want to text on, if you want to text, 1 million people to go vote tomorrow, you post your sign up, Mobilize, upload them to Hustle, boom, it's good to go. It's really cool. But it is important to know that we do use Slack so you can go to my next slide. I do want to highlight this Slack channel. So here you can see one of our text team leaders posting the sign up information for today's text. That was yesterday or the 27th, whatever day that was. And so Mobilize has all those great auto reminder features. People cascade through that flow. On the morning of, our volunteers log into Mobilize, export that list, upload it to Hustle, go into Slack, give everybody a ping with the instructions that they need for the day. and just get them going. And we also use Slack to answer real-time questions that are coming up while people are text banking. If folks didn't sign up for that day and they want to jump in, it's really our community space. There's lots of great fun stuff happening there. If you want to join that as well, it's sc.org/Slack. I may ask you to do other activities with us if you'd like to do them. We're also writing letters, making phone calls. Really cool stuff. Feel free to join in, check it out. Come to a training, experience it real time. We can go to my next slide. But it's really important also to know that the way we've designed our program is that so folks can get through all of this without ever needing to talk to a person. So if you were a volunteer and you just want to start texting tomorrow, whenever, you don't need to ever interact with another human being to get there. We've got online trainings, we've got recordings of our trainings, we've got a system in place to catch bad actors that would cascade through that. And we point at these web materials all the time with live texting, people that have gone through training already. We just point back to this stuff. So it's a really important aspect of making these things run really well. It's also really important to set up all of your auto reminders and the auto confirmation flows. So if somebody signs up on Mobilize, they get a thank you. You can put the instructions for get yourself trained on Hustle, get yourself trained on Slack, enter the here's our website if you have any questions. Here's a recording of the training after the training. And it's all really super easy to set up. And once you do it once, it's done. So these two tools make it really easy to do that. Cool, so next slide. The most important thing about running these two type of programs together though, is to always be recruiting. We recruit for our text team after any big event that we do. So after the climate strikes, we're cool, you came out and did that, now sign up for our text team. You signed this petition, cool, now sign up for our text team, get more involved. We're constantly doing webinars just like this, but with our texting volunteers. We'll be hey, we're gonna do a vote by mail campaign to help people navigate the elections and the pandemic. And we're gonna text people to do that. Cool, come to this webinar, get some information, sign up for shifts. And it's a really great way, but you have to always be recruiting, and Mobilize makes it really easy because we just share the same link over and over again. We can share one link with all 3.8 million people to be here's where you go. And they could also put other things on there webinars, events, letter writing parties, couch parties. It's all centrally located. It's really great. But keep people engaged every day. We are texting every day through the election. Compelling and meaningful campaigns and actions are going to increase your attention and action rate. As I mentioned earlier, lots of people use Mobilize. It's competitive. So you've got to have engaging campaigns and content. We do see people come in that are texting on other campaigns, and then they'll come to our campaign and they'll find out what we're texting on, and they'll be oh, that's the type of texting that I want to do. Sometimes they go other places though if we're not meeting what they want to get out of the program, and that's okay. But having engaging content, doing things regularly, getting people into the motions of it is all really important. And I will say too, let your leaders be leaders. If there are good people doing this work and you see them, we have given our volunteers organizational admin access and Hustle, which is a big step. We've given them admin privileges and Mobilize. If somebody wants to, when we get back to post-pandemic reality and people are hosting text banks in their own homes and inviting their peers, we will give them access to be able to add new agents, to be able to do all the things that they need to be successful. People are ready to step up right now and to do big things if you ask them and give them the opportunity. And this text team is completely volunteer run. The only thing I have to do is run stuff through compliance. And then they can set up the rest, and it's really great. And trust people to figure it out. That was a lot of really technical, complicated tools. We got Hustle, Mobilize, Slack, Salesforce. We did a analysis the other week, and only 2% of our volunteers are under the age of 40. I'm not trying to be ageist, but like, trust people to figure it out. They will figure it out. Don't be worried that it's like too much. This is like, oh, we got Mobilize, we got Hustle. Just do it. It'll be fine. It's super easy to use and super great. Cool. That's all I got.
That's amazing. Thank you so much, Scott. That was really awesome. Also, that is a really interesting analysis. I think that that has been the case for a lot of folks, that the volunteer bases are not always what you anticipate. So really build leadership, which is, I think, a great lesson. There seems to be a lot of questions about folks about this recording. So we're recording this right now. We will send it out to folks after, and as well, I believe as we will also be sending out the slide deck. So that's just to answer the most common question that we've been getting in our Q&A. And so we're gonna just take this time if folks have any other questions. Oh, someone asked a question about something that I mentioned about adding a link in your first text. So Megan can probably speak to this better, but from all my kind of time at Hustle, we learned that if you put a link in your initial text message, the likelihood that it'll be marked as spam by the phone carriers is pretty high. So the best practice is to not put a link in your first message, but instead do something engaging, something that will get people to respond to you, and then share that link out with them in the response messages. It gets you higher engagement rates. It prevents you from being marked as spam. It's all around a better way to do it.
Yeah, and I will echo Kafia's point. It is the one thing we figured out first that will encourage your messages to be marked as spam. The other thing we definitively know is that using emojis in your messages usually provide like a 2 to 4% lift in reply rates because it makes you sound more human. You know, so we certainly recommend for a lot, there was a lot of kind of chatter in chat about best practices for scripting, and we certainly want to have it be like timely and like a very specific and open-ended ask, right? Or you end with a question, right? We are doing this campaign, can you join on Thursday, right? Are you interested in volunteering for a text bank, right? They would say yes, and then you can send the Mobilize link as that reply, rather than in the initial like, we're like recruiting volunteers, click in this link, because it's highly likely that those messages will get marked as spam and not delivered to the end user. So we certainly, you know, want to avoid that for everybody.
Yeah, and there was a question about Hustle and Mobilize integration. So there isn't a formal integration between the two, but I believe like Scott had this like really great slide that demonstrated how to use both together. You can export the list from Mobilize of folks who've signed up and import them as agents into Hustle. So although there's not a formal integration, there are two tools that really cohesively work together, and like as Scott showed us, can really be used in tandem. I'm sorry, I'm trying to read all the questions that are coming in, so give me 1 second. All right, so there was a question about how often folks are reaching out to their list. Scott, do you have any insight on like what kind of like cadence of outreach is best?
So with our activist base, we try to text people about once a week at the most. And that's where we found like our sweet spot. Like honestly, like if your message is important, like and you know your people best. Sometimes I text somebody like 3 times a day, and that's okay because I have like a clear ask, like, hey, you know, this is happening. I need you to do this. This is, you know, I text my staff with Hustle, you know, but like if they're texting leaders, I will text them once, you know, 3, 4, 5 times a week. But with our general supporters, it's about once a week is our goal.
Nice. That's super helpful. And then I just want to make sure we're getting through all the questions that folks have.
Yeah, I know there are a bunch of pricing questions that have floated up. One, we have a slide immediately at the end for contact information for follow-up. I won't speak to Mobilize. Hustle prices based on per message, right? So it's each message that you're sending out. It starts at about 20 cents per message and quickly scales down based on volume, right? So the more messages you're planning on sending, obviously that pricing drops fairly quickly. And so at the end of this, and certainly in the recording we'll send out, there's lots of contact info, but I did want to address that hustle piece since there's so many questions about it.
Yeah. Sorry, go ahead, Sarah.
No, that's okay. On the Mobilize side, the pricing is factored on the size of your organization. We do not charge across for smaller organizations. We of course make it affordable for you. For larger organizations that have more resources and have more needs, data integrations, multiple dashboards, that kind of thing. So we do based on number of signups, the size of your organization. Just to note here that if you are doing direct COVID-19 relief work, so if you are a 501c3 organization or a city government or state government, we are offering Mobilize for free through the end of May. And so we have a sign-up form on our website that the next slide is going to have for you to go in and fill in your information. Also, you can email me, Sara, S-A-R-A, at mobilize2020.org and get you to the right place.
Great. And there was a question about if this is recommended for political candidates. Certainly, political candidates are on both platforms quite a bit and are using both of these tools. So the answer is yes, you can use it for your political campaign. It would be generally the same idea, same kinds of outreach with slightly different ask, right? Probably more like a fundraising ask or a phone, canvassing ask, but very similar structure of all the other organizational advocacy orgs and the kind of ask that they're making. Great. So it looks like Megan has shared her email in the chat, and then I'm gonna make sure to share it here. And then thank you, Sarah, for sharing your email too. We'll have a slide at the end I think that also has some information that folks can reach out about contracts and things like that.
Yeah, there's a great question. Scott, if you want to check out this one about working with bad actors or trolls in events, that, if you have people who have signed up to be a volunteer, essentially people who are agents and either not up to par or actively trolling, how you both, kind of keep an eye out for that and how you're handling situations like that while running such a large scale program.
Yeah, absolutely. It really, falls back to our text team leaders. We've got some stuff at the beginning, like we don't permission accounts until people sign the policies, and we can verify that they've been through a training. And some of that can be like a lengthy process, which will dissuade, like most people, we ask for real information too. Like yesterday, we had somebody sign up with Go Trump at MAGA 2020, and it was a pretty clear indication that we would not be creating that person's hustle account. We also have team leaders that regularly sweep through messages. So with the Hustle platform, you can go through and you can click on an agent and see the messages that they're sending. Because we use the Salesforce integration, we can actually see the entire message history that a contact has had with that person ever at the same time. And a lot of time, agents will, lift up stuff that other agents are saying, because we use the anyone can message on a first come first serve basis, which is awesome. Highly recommend to do that. And then so we have people regularly going through and visually scanning the messages. They do audits, and then regularly we can also export the entire message history and look for keywords and phrases. So every couple, if we have an indication that something might be happening, we will go through and export the entire message history and look for keywords that might indicate that somebody's a bad actor. We actually got Zoom bombed on one of our trainings a couple of weeks ago. We had about 130, 140 people invade one of our meetings, and for our hustle training, for our text team training, and we had to shut everything down and go through and make sure that none of the people that were Zoom bombing us were also texting our supporters. And thankfully, we just turned the program off. It's one simple switch. Went through there, made sure that none of the emails from the Mobilize to the Zoom to the Hustle were matching from there. And it was fine. It is what it is. It's going to happen. It's a reality that we live in. And if you just take a couple of simple precautionary steps, you'll be okay.
That is really scary and nerve-wracking. I think with all this technology, there is the possibility of things like that happening. But unfortunately, a lot of it is unavoidable, but the most we can do is be prepared and set up good trainings for our teams to be able to respond well. There is a question about Hustle's integration with Every Action. Do you want to take that, Megan?
Sure. The quick answer is yes. We do have an integration with both Every Action and Van, meaning that you can cut your list of leads to be texted directly in Every Action or Van, and then push to Hustle as a group, or push into a group, right? So then your contacts are automatically moved over from there. The integration works fairly similarly between Every Action and Van, which is kind of the same family of products. I would say it is our most commonly used integration. I know Sierra Club utilizes the Salesforce integration to push in leads. And so those are the two main sources of pushing contacts into Hustle. And then, as we've mentioned, you can also upload contacts via CSV file, as well as uploading agents, whether they come from a Mobilize signup or elsewhere. You would upload those as agents directly into Hustle. It's a great question.
There's also a question about if someone signs up for a Hustle text bank through Mobilize, is there a way to automate their sign up? There is not, because there's not a formal integration right now. The way that you would do that is the way that Scott kind of showed us earlier, is exporting your list from Mobilize and bulk uploading them into Hustle as agents. And then I think we'll just get to the last slide so folks can see that's where the contact information, if you want to reach out to Megan or Sarah about pricing and things like that, feel free to do so. If you're an organization that is doing COVID-19 relief work, please reach out to help get resources around that as well.
Yeah, and there was a question I think before about integrating to websites. I had mentioned we've seen folks integrate their Mobilize feed into websites, and I've actually seen everything. I've seen folks go and spend some money through a vendor and have a map built and a map kind of hosted on their website via our kind of open API instructions that we give when you are a client of ours. And so they get a map built. And it's on their website, it's fancy. I've also seen, we do have, this is very technical and I'm sorry, but we do have iframe instructions that you can embed the feed, Mobilize feed into your website as well if you're sophisticated. I've also seen people just have, in their WordPress website, have take action now, and they'll click on that button and it'll take them to their Mobilize feed. And so there's many different options of incorporating their website, and we've kind of seen, across the board, depending on how much money and resources you have. But the kind of broader picture here is that there's a lot of people out there that want to take action, that you want to tap into, you want to recruit to do things and take action. And so it might be coming to a training, it might be a webinar. And specifically what we've seen a lot of is recruiting people to text banks, recruiting people to text from their home on a variety of different things. And Scott can maybe follow up with like script suggestions, scripts that he's seen successful, what you're kind of asking people to text on. And then there was a question from my friend Dan Chambers at Maryland State Education Association on Facebook Live. Because it's my new little project that I'm pushing people to do. Probably because I remember when Facebook came out, I was in college, you had to have a college email. I have a very soft spot in my heart for Facebook. But some of the best things I've seen is folks create a Mobilize event sign up page on Facebook. saying, hey, we're going live on on Mobilize. We're going live on Facebook at this time, join us. They'll send that Mobilize event link out to their list, on their social media. They'll even post on their Facebook saying, hey, we're going live, RSVP here. And then because you want those signups to be in Mobilize, it is much easier to get those signups, to get those names, those emails, that phone number in Mobilize than in Facebook, right? You can't export a CSV from Facebook. You can't integrate with every action or van like you can in Mobilize. And so you want all of that information in Mobilize, and those automated responses, right? Hey, we're going live on Facebook next Tuesday. Folks are going to get an email, going to get a text message that says, hey, we're going to do that. We're going to Facebook Live, and they're going to have it right in front of them instead of those things, those notifications coming via Facebook. And then they're going to get that kind of, hey, how was the Facebook Live event afterwards? You don't get those kinds of things if you're just running it in Facebook alone. I know that was an off topic, but it's a little favorite of mine. Scott, do you want to talk a little bit about your scripts, best script suggestions? I know you talked about how to structure text banks using both platforms, but what are some of some great best hits in your scripts?
Yeah, for sure. Every script I send out has an emoji in it, for sure. But talk to people like you're talking to your friends. I text the same way I would text my mom. My mom's one of our texters for us, and I'll just be like, yo, sign up for shifts to all my people. And it's okay. People will respond more to authentic and engaging content. Some of our biggest campaigns where we get the most interest are definitely around elections. Texting is a great way to have a real one-on-one conversation and move voters. It's highly personal. It's really easy to get to scale with texting. And people who want to make a difference in elections, this is a great way for them to get involved. And if you make the opportunity available to your folks, they will jump at it. I'm sure. There are some folks that want to do other stuff and may not like politics or your organization's politics. And we do a lot of texting around important issues, the Endangered Species Act, EPA rollbacks. Different folks have different interests, and we actually allow our folks to kind of create their own campaigns. Sierra Club has a large mobile list. We're very, very privileged there. So we can text a lot of people in a lot of places, almost any at will. So if one of our organizers, one of our activists, one of our volunteers has an idea, we help them figure it out. I hope that answers that, but yeah.
No, that's great. Thank you, Scott. And there's one more question in here about how do you best use this to register voters. I think registering voters or ballot chasing, which is what a lot of folks are doing right now with mail-in or absentee ballots, is really the same kind of concept as other types of organizing, right? You want to really take a human approach to reaching out to people. You want to really put into their mind the idea that this is an important election and that their participation is really vital. And then just kind of ask them if they're registered to vote. If they're not, give them the link to where they can register, give them info about what the same day or registration deadlines are in their state, things like that. The name of the game is information and knowledge, and really empowering people to have that information and knowledge. Great. How would you go about getting numbers to text for voter registration? There's hopefully you have a list of your organization. Most organizations have their own internal lists or listserv. And then I'm sure there's some sites where you can also get numbers from there, or if you have access to the van or something of that nature. Cool. Reach out to people. Great. Any other questions or anything the rest of y'all would like to kind of end, any notes to end on?
Yeah, I'll just quickly plug that Hustle is running free campaigns for any organization or elected official that is doing COVID outreach. We have, if you go to our blog, I believe it's still the first post up on our blog right now. It has all the information as well as the link to sign up. So that's 10,000 free messages for the month of May for all organizations that are doing outreach or fundraising on behalf of their communities during the COVID outbreak. Quick note that it is not applicable for campaigns due to campaign finance law because it counts as a gift. But for elected officials, we're really happy to set you up. We have about 150 or so organizations that are using Hustle to connect their communities to food banks, to employment resources, to like up-to-date health information. So please either follow with me directly, I've been running the program, or go to our website. Thanks, everybody.
Yes, and a plug from our team here at Mobilize. We were recently featured for our launch of volunteerfromyourcouch.com. And it is how we are tapping into this energy that folks want to volunteer and contribute to direct COVID-19 relief work. And so you can go to volunteerfromyourcouch.com. You can send it out to people. And you can sign up for events if you're interested in kind of seeing what the Mobilize platform is and does. You can actually get a full in real-time experience by going to volunteerfromyourcouch.com, finding something you're interested in and participating in, signing up, and that is a really great opportunity. So that's my plug. And we've also launched a online resource center as well on our website, chock full of great things on how to do virtual organizing, and all of that. And of course, please reach out to myself or Kafia and Megan if you're interested in knowing more and want to chat. We're here. We're here to answer your questions. Here to kind of help.
Great.
Thank you so much to everybody. We have about 200 people come through. And thank you for all the great questions.
Yeah, and thank you, Scott, for sharing Sierra Club examples. Well, everyone have a great week. Stay safe, stay hydrated, stay indoors. All right. Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.